If you grew up during the early and late 2000s, you will probably recognize these images right here. Whether that would be through a design on a soap bottle, paintings on a wall in like a doctor's office, or a desktop wallpaper. These designs are often known as an aesthetic called Frutiger Aero. Frutiger Aero is a visual design that was popular during the late 2000s and early 2010s. Frutiger Aero has a distinctive style that sets it apart from all the other typefaces, with its sleek and modern look that conveys a sense of efficiency and reliability. Now in this video, we will explore the history of Frutiger Aero, its design principles, and its lasting impact on the world of graphic design, and why we might find this sort of design nostalgic. To start off, Frutiger Aero began to revolutionize the designs and art of certain things and was prevalent during the years of 2004 to 2013, following the end of the Y2K era and overlapping with the McBling and Electropop 08 aesthetic. I could talk about Y2K and the aesthetic around it in a future video because there's a lot of information to talk about for that topic. Frutiger Aero is characterized by its vast use of glossy texture, technology from that time, nature and humanism, water, bubbles, auroras, flourish patterns, bright and colorful backgrounds, and glass textures and looks. Now these images that are being shown to you now are classified as Frutiger Aero, since these images and artworks all fall under the characterization of the aesthetic. The name Frutiger Aero comes from Adrian Frutiger, who is known for the creation of the Frutiger font commonly used in this era. Aero comes from the UI theme of Windows OS Vista and 7, which spread outward and influenced many companies' design choices of that era. Frutiger Aero has its roots back in 2013 and 2014 builds of Microsoft Windows Longhorn, which was a lost and forgotten OS that was later renamed and changed to Windows Vista. The OS would bring a more glossy, smooth, and clean and colorful design to it. During this time, Microsoft would continue to use this Aero design in their software and products, from Vista to Windows 7 to even Xbox 360 consoles. Over time, the mainstream of Frutiger Aero started to make a turn with the release of Windows Media Player 10, which follows the design ideas of Longhorn, as well as video game consoles of that time. Now, like I mentioned previously, the Xbox 360 has used many design elements from Frutiger Aero and implemented them into its menus, games, avatar editors, and more. But they weren't the only video game console to use this sort of Frutiger Aero edit. Other video game consoles were inspired to use this sort of design, like the Nintendo Wii, Nintendo DS Lite, and even the PlayStation 3, all of which were released during the same time. Even Apple got into the Frutiger Aero aesthetic with the release of the first iPhone. If you're like me and grew up during this time period, you will immediately recognize these designs and aesthetics. You might get a hint of nostalgia from it too. The lock screen and screensavers of a Windows 7 or Vista PC, the menu screen of the Wii, and the music that plays during it, and the overall glossy, fresh, clean and smooth design of a photoshopped art piece that were widely used for agendas, books, and pieces that you would tend to see in an office space. Like I mentioned before, you would probably see them in like a doctor's office. Hell, I remember during this time period when I was in elementary and middle school, we would get these like agenda books every single year for schoolwork and writing down schedules and scheduling and whatnot. And every year the agenda books would have like different cool little designs to it and look to it, all of which had that Frutiger Aero design to it. Hell, I still have some hidden away in my parents' house. Like, why do I still have them out after all of these years? I have no clue. But my god, after making this video, I ain't throwing these away. This is one of them, right? Like, this is one of them that I still have at my parents' house. Like, lovely. Look at that design. The pirate ship. Let's go, Frutiger Aero! Now, if you look at these images, most of them will have a large environmentalist theme to them. This has been coined as a subgenre known as Frutiger Eco, which began to become popular during the time when climate change awareness was reaching its peak. Many companies were reaching for more of an eco-friendly image for their brands, in which it ideals into Frutiger Aero. They use imagery associated with both the future and nature to create a futuristic, utopic feeling. Now, knowing about Frutiger Aero and its main design could be mistaken as a type of Y2K aesthetic, but one of the biggest differences of Frutiger Aero tends to be that it focuses more on like high definition visuals than Y2K, since Frutiger Aero came out around the time when high definition was becoming more popular. Now, unlike the Y2K aesthetic, which reached into films, TV, and games, there was less overlapping when it came to the aesthetic in popular culture. But during the 2000s and early 2010s, the Frutiger Aero design was used a lot more in media when it came to adding more colorful, bright, glossy looks and designs to the show and the set design and backgrounds. One example that explains this perfectly is the 2007 film Meet the Robinsons. This film dives deep into the look of the future and the vision of what it could look like. Everything is bright, lots of colors and greenery, things are glossy, and of course the floating bubbles around, that they use to travel and whatnot. Literally the characterization of Frutiger Aero, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video. And this film was released during a time when Frutiger Aero in this style was everywhere, and it seemed like they took aspects from the Frutiger Aero aesthetic and used it to describe the future in the film, which is really unique. Music was also heavily influenced by the Frutiger Aero design as well. The genre and aesthetic techno-zen, which was a genre that was inspired by the aesthetics of mid and late 2000s Japanese technology, is heavily used in Frutiger Aero aesthetic. When you search up Frutiger Aero music on YouTube, you will come upon playlists and videos that play music that relates to techno-zen. There's just something about Frutiger Aero that I absolutely adore. Sure, the designs of these images and artworks are a little outdated and you don't see much of it nowadays, but it's just really nostalgic to look back at it and to bring back the memories of growing up during the early and late 2000s, and even the early 2010s. I grew up with this sort of stuff, and it's definitely one of the aesthetics that I absolutely love and will cherish forever. Anyways, thanks for watching this video, and thank you all so much for the support that I've been getting on this channel as of late. You guys are the best. I love you all, and I will continue to create more videos for you all. Now let me know what you all want me to make a video on next. Recommend something to me, I'll make a video on it. Anyways, thanks again so much for watching this video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye! Bye-bye! Frutiger Aero! Frutiger Aero! It's so hot in my room!